Hey everybody, Jess Intuitive Angel Healer here with your Grounded. We've got the beautiful Julia Weisenberger here from Germany, and she is the coach for the art of lazy success. Welcome, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, welcome. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And this is Why Not Wednesdays. This is my woman empowerment series. We have 16 beautiful souls that are joining us and telling us a little bit about their journey on their road to empowerment, and a little bit about how you made it to being a coach, and being a role model for women around the world. So I'm going to hand it over to you in a moment. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited for this series and to have you a part of it. I know every soul that has joined has been handpicked by spirit. So definitely this is awesome. And I got goosebumps right now just with you here. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to you. Just tell us a little bit about who you are, how old you are, and where you're from. And go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm Julia Weisenberger, and I live in Germany. I was born
Nice.
there and raised and everything. And I always got a soft spot for the English language, so it came natural to turn to English then. And yeah, I'm 38 years old,
Nice.
and I live in my own house. And well, it's been an exciting ride, this life, and I'm looking forward to many more. Yes, people I meet and I interact with, and I'm very excited to be here. Especially since you said I was personally picked.
Yes.
I'm tickled pink.
You are so very welcome. Tell us a little bit about your profession. You're a coach for the art of lazy success. What does that entail exactly?
I always love the word lazy because it just implies you're focusing on the good stuff, on
Nice.
being laid back, on being the cool man, the cool woman. And I always thought that people hassle too much. It's a very complicated society out there, and I think sometimes they make it more complicated than it should be.
Yes, I would
So
agree.
so I decided to focus on laziness because sometimes I really think of myself, and I'm a Taurus. Yeah, in my
I'm a
in my
Pisces, so we're a little bit
yeah,
on the lazy side. If we could lay in bed most of the day, we would.
it would be awesome, and getting hand fed perfect sizes of nice food, that would be great and awesome. But sometimes I really came to the conclusion that life doesn't have to be that hard. And well, then looking back on my life, I realized that every time that I stumbled or took a fall, it was really because I was taking myself too seriously, and I was focusing too hard, goal setting too much. And it was really that I realized that's just not for me. And I was, for a long time, I was really convinced that I'm the only one thinking that way. And there were one or two people that I got in contact with, and I realized, no, you're not the only one. There are several others who think that way also. So maybe they are on the lookout to find an easier, more lazy way to their success. And that's the art of lazy success was born.
Well, I love it though, because you know what, it's very true that and it's not that you're lazy in the sense of that you're just not going to do anything. It's more that I understand the what you're saying, because my biggest thing to teach people is you can work smart, not hard. Stop working so hard every day. And I tell people, I promise you, I am 39. I just turned 39 this year, and there is no golden star that you will get for working your fingers to their bone. There is no golden star you will get for throwing your back out at 29. None.
Yeah.
You just get to be an old person with health problems. So for anybody who told you that you have to work your fingers to the bone to be successful, they are silly. and they need to have a little bit more open mindset, and that's where you come in and you teach people how to you know, do things the smart way and not the hard way, and I love it. And I am very big, like, please stop working so hard. Please, there's no reason why you have to work 23 hours of the 24 hours a day. None whatsoever, unless it's personal choice. Yeah.
Would be
Um,
just 1 hour of sleep. That's much too. I need more sleep.
well, there are people in America that are literally working 3 jobs and have 5 kids. And I'm like, I worked 2 jobs at one point. I was a medical assistant and a health tech at one point. And I literally almost died on the freeway one day because I was driving home and I fell asleep because I had worked a double shift from 11 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is crazy, and it happens every day, and we wonder why there's so many wrecks and people hurting. So that is
Not so.
awesome. Yeah. It's just crazy, the mentality of that people think that you have to do for work, and it's just silly. So I want to dive. I love what you do. This You're a woman of my own soul. So I want to dive into this real quick, and I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions about
Sure.
empowered women, because you are totally, when I think of an empowered woman, you would be totally what I imagine. When you close your eyes um and imagine an empowered woman, what comes to your mind?
So I thought long and hard about that because I was thinking, so maybe someone who's still alive, maybe who's some kind of hero to myself. And then I realized, no, I really have one empowered woman who has been with me for, I think, the most time of my life. And that's that woman. I don't know if you, I don't think you can see it.
There.
Now you can.
I see it.
Yes, here we go. And that's Prince Valiant. That's a German edition. And he has a woman. He has been married to Aleta, and Aleta, she's the queen, and she never gets tired to point out that she's a queen and he's just a prince, so he, he has to
That's
look after
awesome.
himself. And she was really one of the first women that I encountered when I read and when I was looking for some kind of role model to what to implement. And my dad, he had the whole collection of the comic books, so I was reading that again and again and again because she was the queen, she was the tough one, she was managing her own kingdom. And although the comic has been titled Prince Valiant, well, some of the time she is the heroine of the whole thing, and she more often than not saves his butt. So I was very amazed by her.
And that's what most empowered women do, is we end up, we used to always make jokes, because, I was a medical assistant. That's what I went to school for. And a lot of the medical assistant shirts make jokes that we're there to cover the doctor's butt, because most of the time you don't talk to the doctor. You talk to the doctor for about 5 minutes. You're talking to their medical assistant. And if they make mistakes, we're in charge of making sure you don't find out. We take that first. So that that's what but that's an awesome figure. I never really thought of that, and that's really cool to have another different figure, because everybody always thinks of Wonder Woman, or
Yeah,
um
she's rather new to the collection, I think. And I'm not really sure who was there first, to be honest, because I think the first one was about, well, it was shortly after the Second World War. So 40, 44, 45, something like that, when he started with the whole collection. So
oh
she's
wow.
rather old.
Hey, oldie but a goodie, right?
Definitely, definitely. And she always, what I admired on her, at her, in her, she was always dressed impeccably, and she always had good manners, and she was not some kind of pushy woman that said, "Well, here I am, and nobody else," and just
Nice.
puts down her man or something like that. It was really she was supported him, and he knew he could count on her, and the other way around, and that was something that I really loved.
That's awesome. I really love that. I'm gonna have to look into that whole collection. Um, Awesome. I love it. Okay, so Tell us a little bit about your own personal path of empowerment. What would you say is most significant, most challenging, and most rewarding?
I had several challenges along the way, as I said earlier. There were several ones. When I started out as a young woman, so as a teenager,
How old?
as a teenager, start when you start to get uncomfortable in your own skin, I guess. It was rather hard for me because I didn't care so much about dresses, about clothes, anything at all. So I didn't really pick something nice to wear or something. I was more into my books and reading and learning and stuff like that. So it wasn't very important for me. And just some years ago, I stumbled over people who wear vintage clothing, and I never realized that it can be affordable. So I started my own collection and just have my whole closet full of really nice clothes now, and I feel very, very good in them. So that was a big step. So if you try out, if you're not really sure about what should I wear, how do I feel comfortable, I'm not really sure, just try it out, try it out.
It's about getting that confidence, and that's a big thing as women, because I'm not an ugly woman by any means, and I know that, but as a woman, sometimes I know that I'm not a supermodel. I know I'm not a Victoria's Secrets model. Most of us aren't. I didn't get the hype. I almost did, but not quite. But you know what? I also have a 9-year-old daughter, and I know that we're not skinny and we don't look like Barbie, but we're cute and we have beautiful souls and we have a lot of love, and that's what I teach her all the time. But it's very important to feel, because there's a lot of good women out there that are very powerful, but the way that they dress takes it all away, and then you either look sloppy or you look, trashy, and a lot of times that is the biggest thing that takes away from women's power, and they don't even realize it's one simple thing, or just the way that you feel confident about yourself. If you don't feel confident, then that puts a lot of blocks in your path and opportunities that you could have picked up on, because you didn't have the clothes and you didn't feel like you had the look and the style that needed for the opportunity a lot of
But
times. So
true. So your background as Marilyn Monroe,
yes,
and I always admired her because of her dress and everything like that, and how the way she carried herself.
me
And
too. And I loved it that she's a beautiful woman, but she wasn't dumb. And she may have played dumb, but that's my favorite thing about her, is she was not dumb by any means. She was very smart. I mean, she got with President Kennedy. He was not a dumb man, and he's not going to just pick up any cute girl. So I really admire her. She reminds me of an empowered woman, and that's why I have her behind me, because I'm like, she's the epitome of what an empowered woman is too, even though she had her own little issues with everything. So, but
don't
okay,
give up.
now, what was most challenging?
Most challenging was, I think, to find my own voice. And I really, really remember that very vividly. It took me some time to get over it because when I was employed, I had a boss, and she was really, I don't know how to say it really, but I think in
Toxic?
hindsight, once more,
Toxic?
that's definitely.
That's the easiest word.
Yes, but I would describe her as something like she was missing something very, very terribly, and she didn't get over the fact that at that time I didn't dress impeccably. I just put on what I had in my wardrobe, and I had my hair not done very well. It was just long and open, and I was just going with a braid or with a ponytail or something, and still people flocked to me. They liked how I talked, how my energy, maybe, something like that. And we had a talk at work. It was about the next things I would have to do on my job that was new for me, and I was looking forward to it, to get some kind of insights into do I have to do now? And she just sat there and she criticized everything. She criticized my speech patterns, my laugh,
Wow.
my hair, my dress, the way I ported myself, everything. And it was just, and in the end, she said, you cannot expect that people just flock to you and hearts are flowing out to you. And then she mentioned yes, an encounter I had while we were on some kind of job travel. And I met there a really, really nice guy. And he got connected to me, and we shared a whiskey. It was in Scotland. What do you do in Scotland? You drink a nice whiskey together.
Yeah.
I was rather young, and he was exuberant, and it was well, I was being my usual self, and he just told me, so I really like to marry you. And I just took it with a grain of salt and said, so, well, yeah, sure, we can do that. And I was telling my people at work from that encounter, and she had the guts to mention that in a work-related interview, in the talking that we had. She mentioned that I couldn't expect people to flock to me like that. And I was just blown away because I wasn't expecting anything like that.
And I feel like I've had bosses like that, and it was almost that she's jealous of you, and she's got a couple of closed chakras there, especially her sacral, that she needs
Yeah,
fixed. But I find it so amazing that people hire you, and then my biggest problem in the workforce, that's why I now own my own business, and I'm sure this is probably why you own yours as well, because my biggest problem is not that I didn't do a good job. I am phenomenal when people still remember me patient care, because I've literally saved people's lives, because I've went above and beyond what a medical assistant was supposed to do for a GI. I went and found a kidney doctor to get somebody in the next day, and they weren't even like, they were just our consult, but I did that because I knew this person needed to be seen or their kidney was gonna, go. But I've had a lot of people, because I am a light worker, I have discernment that no other people have. It doesn't make sense to them, but I'm like, no, this has to happen. And that was the biggest thing, is they got jealous of me. They got mad that I outperformed them. That was the biggest thing. If I outperform someone, prepared to have my life crappy for the next few months, because that person is gonna throw all that toxic arrows over on me. And I just find it like it's a silly thing, but now that I've went through my spiritual awakening, I've kind of learned, you're a sad, sad soul. And I've also learned that people that come, this is an unhealed part of me that is presented, and that was the hardest pill to swallow, is that this person, that jealousy in there, is part of me. And how do you accept that, but that's awesome that you fought through that and you didn't let her, because bosses don't understand, if you aren't in a certain mindset, you may not ever overcome that, and you may just work at McDonald's for the rest of your life because you have no confidence of nothing. So high
well,
five.
it was really tough for a time there because, well, when I went out, I didn't want to give her the satisfaction to see me like that, crushed down and everything. But I hadn't thought that it would have such an impact on me. Well, I was several years younger, and it was my first job, so I was rather well, you could impress on me many, many things, I guess.
Well, you're a
And
little naive. It's okay. We all were at one point.
and well, there came a time, it was not too far apart from that interview then, that I drove home, and I was thinking of driving straight while being in a curve. And I was thinking, okay, now you really need to get a grip on that. You really need to do something that's not healthy. And I went home and I stayed 2 weeks, more or less. My brother, he was very helpful. He took me into his home. He got me, and he said, so, okay, you sleep on my couch, and if you don't have that feeling anymore, then you can leave, but not until you have
I've
left
got
that
so many
feeling.
chills right now. Your angels are so totally here. Like, bless you that you have a good brother that cares for you, because it's very
Definitely.
devastating. People don't understand the devastation that they cause with their words. And I feel like I could have been a lot further than I am now, but it's okay. I'm happy where I'm at, but I feel like I could have been a little bit further had I not met so many people that just came and shut my self-esteem down and kicked it to China, and I'm still looking for it, I've done a really good job of rebuilding it, but it's still like, why? I would rather you hit me in the face almost than verbally abuse me, because at least the
That
big
heals.
will heal. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
very proud of you that you walked on, because bosses, and then you know what? If you go back to that boss, it's funny because her life probably is very, very unfun right now. I can guarantee you she's not having a good time, and it's not
I
even
know that. I
you.
know that for a fact.
I
I
just
know that.
know how karma works and what goes around comes around. So that's why you shouldn't dish people out. If you don't like someone, walk away from them. You do not need to tell them your opinion of their life.
No. Well, I returned. I returned after the 2 weeks.
Wow.
I took everything on me. I said it was my fault. Whatever happened, it was my fault. It's okay. And I think it was 2 days later that she presented me the term notice. And I just signed and I went.
Hey, but at least you came back and said, all right,
Yeah,
you know what? You're not going to just run me out of here.
definitely.
I told a lot of jobs
You
that.
have to do that on your own. I won't take that job away from you. I have to do that on your own. Yes,
Exactly.
definitely. And well, several years later, someone told me what happened to her. So I definitely know that karma is a bitch sometimes.
I'm just saying, I tell people, don't be mean to me. Don't be really mean and hateful, because my angels don't like it. And unless you won't reciprocate it right now, but I'm warning you, I've watched it my whole life. I didn't wish bad on anyone. It's just what happens. And I've actually watched it happen, and I don't laugh about it. I'm just like, well, I tried to warn you, like, but
I
everyone
have to
has
be.
their learning point, I
Yes,
guess.
aren't we all a little bit happy about that? Because to be honest, I wouldn't have gotten anything on her. I wouldn't have tripped her. I wouldn't have
Exactly.
told on her or anything at all. But it's a little bit satisfactory
Well,
to.
that's because your angels did you a favor. They said, okay, you know what, you're being the better man. So a lot of times when you pick being the better person, you don't get instant gratification, but it'll come. And I tell people, just be patient. It'll you'll
Definitely.
feel satisfaction at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, what advice or suggestions can you give to women that are walking the path of empowerment or trying to start? Because that's the biggest thing, is talking about self-esteem being crushed. Most women, it's not that they're, a lot of men don't understand. We're not dumb. We don't
Yeah.
like to be beat and in a bad relationship. We don't like to go to jobs where we have toxic bosses. The thing is that once you start rewiring someone's brain, and it's not a sudden thing, because I've always had very good confidence about myself, but if you catch me on a bad day and you feed me full of things,
Yeah.
I might feed into them and have a bad month, and then slap myself and go, what am I doing? And it's a whole learning process. But what do that's what I want to do, is tell my clients out here, and the women listening, how do you start? How do you keep going when everybody tells you how stupid and dumb you are and that you don't amount to nothing?
Yeah. So on the whole, I would focus on the relief. So not necessarily on the happy thought that you can have, because sometimes you don't get any happy thoughts if you're really, really down in the dumps. I would have said the S word, but down in the dumps.
That's okay.
and,
It's
and
okay. We're all laid back here. We're not no judgment here. You're with the angels.
so, but for if if ever something like that happens to you in a job interview or anything at all, or even if you really just have a talk with your boss and you're not sure what comes out of it, I would always suggest take a notepad and take a pen or something and write the stuff that he tells you. It doesn't matter what it is, write it down, because you buy yourself time to get grounded, to be more calm in your response. You can ask questions just to keep him talking, whatever, and to just be more laid back. You don't react in a knee-jerk response. You don't slap him or her, or you don't do anything like that. But that's a really very useful tip that I've found, and I always implanted it in any interview that I had after that.
Nice. And you know, it's all about, I just tell people, don't stop going. Just know that you know, even though things don't look good right now, I've noticed, I mean, I've had quite a few life-taking moments, and everything changes in a moment. And that's my biggest thing, is to tell people, if you don't like it right now, wait. Humans are we're impatient. We want everything right here, right now. And if we could just wait a little bit and know that divine timing's always in play, it'll get better. But you can't give up. Gotta make sure you keep trucking on, and keep telling yourself, you know, encouraging yourself. And I like that. I feel like that's what you have. I feel a very self-made energy about you, because no matter what anybody's ever thrown to you, you've always, you know, taken it with a grain of salt and still believed in yourself and said, that's nice that you have your opinion, I have my opinion, and you kept going. So high five. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
I like that. So, okay, what is your daily care what would be a daily self-care regimen that you do, because to prevent burnout? Because when you're talking to people as a coach, and you're, you know, as an empath, we absorb, even, you know, we just absorb people's energy, and they're not, and how do you filter that out? And what's your a day look like for you to keep yourself grounded and not, you know, knee jerk reacting?
Usually I have some kind of processes that I implement if I ever need them. And since I had that encounter, I am very, very sensitive in that part. So if I think that I can't handle it, I take myself out. I just say, okay, I need 2 weeks or something, or 1 week for myself. And I just keep looking after me, and I just keep focusing on something that is more into the relief direction. Maybe if not happy, then at least some kind of relief. So maybe I don't do really meditating. I quiet my mind by doing puzzles.
Hey,
Because
did you know that's a form of meditating? Actually,
I'm sure.
meditating is just simply staring off, like daydreaming. And when
Yeah,
you do that, so you are actually meditating. And I try to tell people that meditating is not just sitting on a rug for 8 hours and going, it is not. And that was the biggest thing of why I never did it. And now I understand
me
it.
too.
And my boyfriend explained it to me. He's the one who explained it to me. You know that when you get up in the morning, and right when the sun is rising, and that still of the moment where the earth is quiet right before the sun rises, and you hear that silence, that's what meditating is. That's what you want to look for. So when you're doing your puzzle, your your mind is going off, and that's what it's releasing. So that's awesome. It's a good.
I I do watch very many movies or TV series that are uplifting,
Yeah.
and I have some rituals or I read comic books. I really do comic books, Japanese comic books or anything like that, because they really take your mind off, and they usually are about empowered heroes who want to conquer the world and be the best in, I don't know, I have some about bread baking. I have some about cooking, and they
Hmm.
always want to be the best. Or I want to be the best comic book artist in the world, or something like that. And it's always in the world. And they
I
have
like
really,
that.
really big goals. And they're always uplifting and very funny, and I love them. So maybe you know One Piece, because that's one kind where nobody else can escape from. And I love the main characters because they're usually full of verve and they conquer the world, and that's very nice.
Nice. Well, I like it because see, and that's what I try to explain to people is that a self-care regimen doesn't have to be uncomfortable 8 hours chanting to yourself, although that does sound peaceful, and if I could do it, I just might, but most of us don't have time for that. So
No.
I like that just putting good stuff for you throughout your day. Stop letting all this, like, we feed ourselves full of terrible foods and terrible entertainment and just like a lot of negative energy. So I like it that you put a fun twist and you go read some comic books, because when I start feeling sad some days, I'm just like, you know what, I'll go do something silly. And because I'm like, I don't have time for this today. I don't have time to be Sally Sad Pants. My schedule's too busy. So what do? I go, quack like a duck or something in front of the moving traffic. I like it. It's fun. I like your regimen.
I don't. I even have CDs, happy CDs. There
Nice.
are the titles on there that I really want to sing out loud when dancing in the kitchen or something.
Nice. I like you. You're fun. You've got such a beautiful energy about you. Okay, so what is your hope or vision for professional women in the holistic and wellness field in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you hope to see? As a woman yourself, as a coach.
Well, I want to for more women to step into their power, because I see so many beautiful women who really, really have to offer something, and they're not courageous enough to step up because they don't know the steps to do, and that's some kind of hindrance that they really have to overcome. So I hope to work with many, many more beautiful souls just to help them and to uplift them and to show them the exact steps they have to take just to be more successful, because many don't know how to start. And I was like them quite some time ago, and now that I found the way.
And it's
Yeah,
just about taking one step at a time, huh?
baby steps for the win.
Nice.
Don't get too overwhelmed, and but you have to have someone who really shows you the first steps to take if you want to take your business down the line and you want to be really successful, just to know where to start, because you can do training after training, and if it doesn't help you make the first step just to show you, I know, okay, that's the first step and that's the next and that's the next after that, then it's rather hard to get started, and you tend to wind up in the next training and the next after that and the next after that, always looking for a secret magic ingredient that you never will get.
Exactly. That is very true. Um, so who would you say, who and what inspires you down your path of empowerment as a woman?
There are so many people. Um, I think every woman that I meet that goes her own way, even some men. So I have met some really, really beautiful souls along the way, and there were men and women. There were LGBTQ members in there, and
Nice.
I'm always very excited to meet new people, because it's always exciting what's inside, and what they have to offer, what you can learn from them, and it's always wonderful to meet them and to talk with them, because everyone has some little gold nugget that you can just pluck and take, and they say, oh, that's awesome, and I learned that from you.
Nice. I like that. And that's leading into my next question about men. And who good or bad, is there a man in your life that has really taught you to, helped you on the road to be an empowered woman? Um, and who is it? Or is there any a particular event or person that you would say that has really helped you push you forward to being an empowered woman?
Well, the two that had the most influence on me were my father and my brother, of course. And my father, he always told us both, where my brother and me, we are 2 years apart. And so we are rather close together. I think my mother always tells that we never quarreled as children. There was just one incident, and she said, well, he is a younger brother, you have to be patient with him. And after that she said, you never quarreled, I don't know why. And I remember I had a boyfriend, and he was astonished that we were siblings because he couldn't believe that we never quarreled. He said, you are not related, you can't be. You have to grow. And I said, why? I don't need to. And he always believes in me, my brother. He's amazing, and I love him very much. And my father, he always taught us, well, don't get knocked down by the higher ups, because when he was younger, he was always like, groveling a little bit, and he didn't know what to do with the higher ups. And so he said, I was very, I took care, that's really what, I took care that you too are not sucking up to the higher ups, that you realize they pull their pants up the same way that you do in the morning, and don't do anything to grovel. So my brother at the moment is rather not groveling. And my father often gets a little bit exasperated with that. He says, you can't talk to your boss like that. And he usually says, oh, well, but yes, I can. You taught me. And he said, no, I never taught you that. So we had much fun.
So I love it. You sound like you have two really good men in your life. And I think men are an important factor in women, depending on if you had a good or a bad. Because I've had both good. I had a very good, my father was a very good man. He had his own issues, but, he was a very good man. But, his mistakes taught me certain things that I am never going to do in life. Now, is there any particular, because this is what it's really easy for us to always talk about the good, the good parts, but for the women out there that are living the bad parts, what would be a personal, if you don't mind sharing, a personal, an event or a man that kind of inserted something that you could have either went left or right, but you kept going, and what would you say to that?
I remember one incident, and it was a boyfriend as well, and he was rather peculiar, because we went along quite nicely, and then one day, out of the blue, he just told me, I don't love you as much as I think you love me. And I said, oh. And for a short while, I just thought, so how do you react to something like that? And I took my safe approach, and I said, is there anything I can change on about that?
Guilty of that.
And because I was buying time for myself, I didn't know what to answer. I didn't know how do you react to something like that. And I was saying, okay, in interviews, you always ask a question. You always ask a question. So the other person keeps talking, and you get maybe some more insight to get time to react on that. And he just told me, no, I don't think you can do anything about that. And I was saying, okay, then do you want a cup of tea, or do you want to go? But I want my Tupperware back before you.
This is kind of awkward, but can I have a Tupperware?
And I was really, then he left, he really left. I gave him my Christmas presents because I had already bought them, and who would I give them to? Because I had just bought them especially for him. So I gave him the one for him, and the one for his dad, and the one for his sister. And I said, so I had much fun, have a nice Christmas, and then goodbye. And he went out. Well, and I was crawling back into bed and keeping my stuffed bunny to me, and I was looking for half an hour. I was looking at, Murder, She Wrote. I love Jessica Fletcher.
I love her too. My grandma used to watch that.
And then I phoned my parents to tell them, well, good morning, I'm single again. And I said, okay, you just sit there and we'll get you, and we're going out to eat something. Do you want some sushi? And I said, well, I don't feel especially going out, going out. And I said, well, doesn't matter. We will visit you either way, just to hug you and to tell you everything will be all right. And then you can decide if you want to. Well, and after 1 hour they were there, and I said, okay,
awesome.
fuck that guy. We're going to eat sushi now. And I was crying some more while picking on my sushi. But it was very delicious. It didn't take that long to get over, because some people really ask me, well, you can't have been that much in love with him if you were happy that easily after that. And I said, no, I did it to the best of my abilities. I asked him if I could change anything on the side of his feelings, but if I can't, then why should I? And why should I stick to that guy? So yeah, that
Well,
I read so many stuff, so I know how to react.
Well, I love it though, because you know, a lot of us stay, and I stayed in a 10-year toxic marriage, and I kept getting my lumps and going, can I have another, please? Well, please, sir, more. You know, like what's that? You know,
Oliver Twist. Hello.
Oliver Twist. That's how I felt, because I'm like, oh, I need to fix you. No, I don't need to fix you. We came here to teach each other lessons, and my lesson's done, and I'm tired of you being mean to me and ungrateful. So bye-bye. Yeah, and that's what I do. And then but the thing is, they never understand. And they always, at the end, they never care until the end. And then they're like, why are you leaving? I'm like, I gave you 10 years. Like, holy cow, how much more time? It's not going to work. It's done. But I high five you that you went through it, and you're just like, you know what, eat your sushi. And you know, you go find another guy. And that's what I'm learning. If you don't like me, I will, if it's something that I need to change, I will. You know, I'm not that arrogant, but I have changed a lot in my life. So if it better be something very, like, if I interrupt you, tell me I interrupt you so I stop doing that, because that's manners. But if you don't like the way that I laugh or the way that I put my hair, that is my style, my personal choice. And why are you with me if you don't like the way I look? And you can't be with someone and change them. That is the silliest thing we do. We're like, I like you. And women, you hear women all the time going, I'm gonna change him, I'm gonna teach him. Why should leave your man to be a man and let him be your best friend and your partner, and you'll have so much better of a relationship, and you won't have all that resentment and hate in between you. So
Yeah.
so we're going to wrap this up real quick, and I just want to ask you, what advice can you give the group on how, and all the women out there that are watching, how what advice can you give them on how to follow their dreams and to not to deny themselves of anything less than their dreams?
For me, it was always hard to figure out some kind of dream, because it's deeply connected to some kind of goal. I would say my dream, because let's start the other way around. There is too many people who are old and who will tell you, I wish I had done that and that and that. And when you're 60, they start to get into spiritualism, because at the moment they don't know what to believe in, and the end of their life gets nearer and nearer, and they think, oh my God, I should worry about what comes after death. And I always said, I will start earlier with that. I will figure that out for myself. So I'm some kind of live in the moment person. I'm focusing on the now, on the gratitude and everything that I have. I'm allowing more to come, of course. But in hindsight, I always realized that if you would have asked me 5 years earlier, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I would never have said, well, I'm getting interviewed live online on Facebook or something like that. So it always turns out much better than I ever could have imagined. So I'm just sitting back, enjoying the ride and seeing where it gets me. And the only question I always ask myself is that something that makes me happy? And I think that's the measurement everything has to measure up to. And I think that's the most important question, because it's not, when I get the house, I will be happy. When I get rich, I will be happy. Why focus on that? Focus
Yeah.
on the end goal. Be happy now, and the house and the riches and everything, they will take care of itself.
That's awesome. And that is exactly, that is manifesting. That's believe it. If you can believe it, if you can visualize it in your mind, and then uh, our biggest problem is believing it, believing that we're worthy enough to have it. And we are. If you're here and you're breathing, you came here for a purpose. We did not come down here by accident. So if I always tell people, if things aren't going right, observe what's not going right and ask yourself, maybe I should take that element out of my life and maybe my life would be better, but I love your attitude. I love Coach for the Art of Lazy Success. And they can go to your Facebook page, right? And visit you. Is that correct? Your I
Yes,
put
yes,
your Facebook page
yes.
on the link here. So you
You
guys
can visit that. I have several posts about being happy about affirmations, not affirmations. I'm not a big fan of affirmation. I don't like that. I'm being rich. I'm rich. I'm rich. It's too
yeah.
boring.
Well, I use more of the affirmations for self-care because it's more of and the reason why they do that is to teach yourself. It takes about 21 days to make or break a toxic pattern. So by you telling yourself that, you subconsciously, because that's the biggest thing is people say, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor. And that's why they sabotage themselves, because if they would be saying I'm rich, it does something where it takes your mind off of being poor, and then all of a sudden your riches start coming in. And that's kind of the whole manifestation thing. But yeah, I understand. It gets a little like, I don't like the abundance affirmations because at some point I'm like, you know what, people, papers and money is one thing, and
It's just your brain goes,
life.
yeah, right.
Yeah, live in the beauty of life. Stop worrying about if you have the coolest car or whatever, because that stuff doesn't matter once you leave. So I am so thankful that you were here. Thank you so much for joining us. You don't
Thank
even
you for
know
having me.
the impact that you have made today on my viewers. And thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us tonight at 8 p.m. Central. We're gonna have Yvonne Santiago. This is our fourth interview. We'll have our fifth interview for the Women's Empowerment Why Not Wednesdays. So join us tonight. Thank you so much, Julia. You're grounded. I'm Jess, Intuitive Angel Healer, and everybody have a wonderful day. Love and light, everybody. Bye.